Well, for more now on our top story, if the UK votes to leave the European Union, losing access to the EU market could have a significant impact on the British economy. And joining us now to talk about the economic perspective of a possible Brexit is Kallum Pickering, who is an economist with Berenberg Bank. Kallum, thank you for joining us. We've seen a lot of arguments for and against in terms of what a Brexit would mean for the economy. Do you see it having a positive or negative effect?
A Brexit in the long run would have a negative effect on the UK economy. Remember, the European Union is the UK's biggest export market. 15% of the UK economy is linked to the EU through trade. Less preferential access to the EU market, lower migration and weaker investment would reduce the productive capacity of the UK economy. So perhaps in the long run, it would mean reducing the trend rate of growth for the UK from its current rate of around 2.1%, probably to around 1.8% per year. That very much depends, however, upon what type of deal and how much access the UK got after a Brexit to the EU market.
Well, Kallum, given how conclusive your view is on the negative impact it would have on the economy, do you see any merit in people who are voting to leave, people who, like Boris Johnson, for example?
There is an argument that, as with any international organisation, you're giving up a degree of sovereignty in exchange for something else. Now, based on the purely economic argument, it would be negative for the UK. There is, however, a political argument that some people may wish to have all laws that reflect labour market conditions, product market conditions, basically every aspect of political and economic life set in Parliament. But the trade-off is potentially negative economic consequences for that regain in sovereignty, which would be had if the UK were to leave the European Union.
Kallum, we've seen all sorts of polls on this, and of course referendum votes like this, it's difficult to predict with polls, but how do you see this playing out? Do you think that there will be a Brexit, and if so, what are the consequences of that?
I think probably there won't be a Brexit. I see probably a 40% chance the UK votes to leave. British voters in the past have been pragmatic when it comes down to issues with big economic consequences. This is one of those issues. I think the arguments on the economy merit a vote to stay, and that's what we will see. Should the UK leave, the world will go on. The UK economy is strong in the long run. It may be a little weaker, but nothing that would deter someone from investing, say, in the UK. The risk is the short-term economic and political consequences. Politically, it's likely David Cameron would have to resign as Prime Minister to be replaced by probably one of the primary Brexit campaigners, maybe popular ex-mayor of London, Conservative MP Boris Johnson. So there's potential for some messy politics in the UK afterwards. Also, ahead of the vote, we've seen the economy slow down. Businesses have been reluctant to invest. Consumers have been reluctant to consume, worrying about the uncertainty that could occur beyond a Brexit. So we'll probably see that in the short run too. The economy could slow in the second half of the year before recovering thereafter. So short-term political and economic mess, long-term things will gradually improve.
Kallum, this is a very complicated issue, and you have made it quite simple to understand. So we thank you for that, Kallum Pickering from Berenberg Bank. Thank you.